Everybody, it's Frankie-Lou. It's turkey time. We're just heading into Canadian Thanksgiving weekend here. I like to smoke my turkeys because I find that you get a much more tender, flavorful bird, and also frees my oven up for all those wonderful other sides that I want to do. I basically smoke my turkeys even in the dead of winter. My Christmas turkey, I do this way as well. Actually, I'm going to do this on my barbecue. And I'm going to teach you guys how to do that because I know not everybody's lucky enough to have a smoker. And you can smoke on most standard barbecues, so I'm going to show you how to do that. But this video in particular, this first video, is about brining. Because even if you don't want to fire up the barbecue, brining your turkey before roasting is going to make it much more flavorful and tender as well. So for the purposes of this video, I have got pretty much the biggest bird I want to put in for smoking. It's tipping the scales at 15 pounds. You want to do, for this type of preparation, you usually want to do 10 to 15 pounds. 15 is about the max. Anything bigger and it's going to take too long. You don't want the meat to rot before you go to eat it. So we're going to do this low and slow. I'm going to focus on brining right now though, because as I said, even if you just want to roast it, brining is going to help. And so I'm going to show you how to do a brine, and a special little trick I use so that I don't take up a whole fridge full of frozen brining, well, cooling brining turkey. This turkey is completely defrosted. You can use a fresh one, you can use a frozen one, you can use your own if you're lucky enough to have your own turkeys on your homestead. I don't. So I've purchased a turkey, and if it was frozen, I would have defrosted it prior to this in the fridge for a couple. So I'm going to show you my brine recipe now, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what to do with your brine. You want to brine your turkey, if you're going to smoke it, for 12 to 24 hours prior to sticking it on the smoker. I find that 24 hours is too long. It kind of gives it, if you leave it too long, the saltiness, I find that it just makes the turkey too salty. So I usually do this, honestly, the night before I'm planning to smoke my turkey. I pop it into my cooler, which I'll show you in a bit, and that fits perfectly for my turkey. And I brine it for 12 hours, pat it up, dry it up, and I'll show you how to do that in the morning. But the brine. Okay, so most brining involves sort of a ratio of, say, 4 liters of water to about 3/4 to a cup of salt, depending on how salty you like it. And then you add sugar and stuff. And so I don't add water. I don't make my brine with water. I make my brine with apple juice. I find that adds a sweetness element and adds a nice flavor as well. And what I do is, instead of having 4 liters of apple juice, what I do is I have 2 liters of apple juice, and then I add ice into the cooler with the turkey, so that I know I'm not going to get salmonella. And as it dissolves, it becomes the water, and I find that the ratio works out pretty good. It's worked for me for years and years and years, so this is what we do. So I'm going to add about half of this to my pot of water here, well, my big pot here. You want to heat it up so that the salt has a chance to dissolve. I've got 3/4 of a cup of pretty standard salt here, sea salt I'm putting in. Okay. Now I want to add some more flavor as well. The smoke is going to add a lot of flavor, and so will the rub, but when it comes to turkey, I'm going to add flavor anywhere I can. So I've got a couple of oranges. I'm going to just squeeze them in there as well. Cut in half. I'm putting the skins in too. I've washed them really well. They're organic to begin with, and the skin will add flavor as well. Okay, so I'm adding all this stuff. The other thing that you need to remember is, with the brine, you're going to be throwing this out, so you don't have to worry about all the little bits and pieces that you don't want in your turkey. The brine is just there as a flavor element. It's going to be entirely discarded after the fact. So I got a lemon, an organic lemon. I'm also going to squeeze that in. So between those two things, I'm going to get a nice element of tanginess and sweetness as well. I throw in a few cinnamon sticks. I got a bit of a spice blend here, which I've made up, and I change it up, really. It's what I got on hand often, but it's flavors that I know go well with turkey. In this case, I've got some cardamom, a pods, some allspice berries, some peppercorns, and some coriander. I'm going to throw all that in. I've got a good quantity of ginger here that I've chopped up. I'm going to throw that in. I've got some fresh bay and some fresh rosemary and some fresh sage from my herb garden that's still good. I'm going to throw a bunch of that in. And then I've taken an entire head of garlic, and I haven't peeled it because the peel is going to get thrown away with the brine, but I just smashed it and I'm throwing that in. Now, I'm going to heat this up until the salt is completely dissolved, and I'm going to let it actually come to a bit of a boil. This half, and once it has come to a boil, I'm going to turn it right off, okay? Because maybe let it boil for a minute max, because all those flavors are going to all incorporate together. And then I'll add the rest of this to start the cool down process. Let it come to room temperature, and then I'll put it in the cooler with turkey, which I'll show you in a bit. Okay, so I'll see you in a little while once I get all this. Okay, so I have made the brine and I've allowed it to cool. I've put the turkey in the best thing I've found for brining. It's one of these coolers here, and I find that it's perfect for a 10 to 15 pound turkey because it just squishes right in there, and I don't waste a lot of brine, and I don't have to take up a ton of room in my fridge. And I've put in 1 liter of cold water to get it so that the brine is up just about submerging the turkey. And as you can see, all the aromatic and herbs and stuff are floating around in there, which is great. That's going to add flavor. And now I'm going to add another 2 liters of ice so that my turkey is fully submerged. It's cool here, so it's actually going to be 4 degrees Celsius tonight, which is perfect. That's refrigerator temperature. I'm going to close this up and let this seal sit overnight. So I'm going to leave it, and we'll see you in the morning to prepare this for the smoker. Okay, so it's the morning. I'm going to smoke my turkey. I've just removed it from the brine, and as you can see, there's still lots of ice there, which is great. Almost half the ice that I originally put into the cooler is still there, so that's a good sign that it's nice and cold and I don't have to worry about getting some nasty from turkey that wasn't kept chilled enough. So I really do recommend using these coolers, because if you put enough ice in, you can place it outside or you can place it in your kitchen, and it's holding all the brine next to the turkey, and it's also keeping it cool, okay, if you put ice in at the top. So this brine will now need to be completely thrown away, discarded. You can't use it for anything because it has had raw poultry in it, and in order to save this cooler, although honestly it gets, basically this is the only purpose I use it for, I give it a hot wash and I bleach it out in between each use, and then I rinse it out with baking soda water. That might seem like overkill, but don't want to have this harboring any diseases or anything, and you want to make sure that you get rid of all this. So I know it might seem like a waste with all those lovely oranges and ginger and all the beautiful aromatic in it, but you don't want to get sick. And here's my turkey. I'm letting it drain a little bit on some paper towel because I want it to be fully patted dry before I prepare it for the smoker. Okay, and so I hope that's helpful. The next video now will be about getting the turkey ready for the smoker, and tune into that. That'll be part 2 if you're interested.